All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. And I thank Senators Stabenow, Van Hollen, and Padilla for joining me. Now, of course, we had a lot to discuss at the lunch today, but top of mind was, for everyone, was default. As everybody knows, yesterday I went to the White House with Leader McConnell, Leader Jeffries, Speaker McCarthy. And from that meeting, there was bad news and good news. The bad news: Speaker McCarthy was the only person in the room who refused to take default off the table. The one person standing in the way is Speaker McCarthy. He refused to take default off the table. President Biden said he would. Leader Jeffries said he would. I would. And Leader McConnell outside didn't say anything in the room, and outside he too said we must avoid default. But instead, Speaker McCarthy doubled down on his efforts, and rather than take default off the table, he's going to take it hostage at the hands of a far-right agenda that the American people would abhor. Avoiding default should not be contingent on passing the GOP's hard right partisan agenda, and the American people overwhelmingly agree. A recent Washington Post poll found the following, very instructive. 58% majority of Americans say debt limit and federal spending should be handled as separate issues, as we are saying, and President Biden is saying. The poll also found that, quote, a much smaller 26% of Americans say Congress should only allow the government to pay its debts if Biden agrees to cut spending. That's McCarthy's plan. Not only does it have only 26% of America, but it doesn't even have a plurality of Republicans. 46% of Republicans say the debt limit and spending should be handled separately. So even a plurality of Republicans realize how dangerous tying the two together is. Now, and one other point I'd make. It's very easy, not easy. It's unique for what McCarthy is doing. Back in 2017, we Democrats hated the Trump tax cuts for the very, very wealthy. I easily could have said, as minority leader, we're going to withhold the ability to raise our debt ceiling unless they repeal the tax cuts. But of course I wouldn't do that. It was dangerous and reckless. But now he is taking the IRA, an issue of great importance to the Democrats, probably our number one issue, and saying he will hold it hostage to default. So it shows you the difference here and the uniqueness of what McCarthy is doing. But there was good news as well in that meeting. Today, top staffs of all 5 principals are sitting down right now as we speak and talking about a path forward for the budget and appropriations process, and they're going to continue to meet during the week. Speaker McCarthy will have plenty to say over the budget and the appropriations process. He wants to make cuts. That's the place to discuss it. That's the place we've always discussed it. We want to close loopholes and make sure the wealthy pay their fair share. Again, it's the budget appropriations process that's the place to be. And so the bottom line is very simple, and that is that McCarthy can certainly have his say, and his caucus can have the say, on spending cuts, but not holding it hostage to default. Not holding it hostage to default, but rather in the budget and appropriations process. Okay? So if Speaker McCarthy would simply commit to taking default off the table, we're happy to engage in a separate conversation with Republicans on the budget. In the meantime, I urge the Speaker and my Republican colleagues to come to their senses about avoiding default. Time is of the essence, and there's nothing stopping us from coming together in a bipartisan way, as we regularly have, to assure America can pay its bills. Senator Stabenow.